At this point, many of you are probably well aware of the Warcraft 3 Reforged situation. What was supposed to be a remaster instead is a step back for Warcraft 3 in just about every way possible, with its broken promises, broken functionalities, cut features, and whatnot. And to make matters worse, Reforged dragged the original game with it by merging the original game into the Reforged infrastructure. So if you don't like Reforged, too bad, you're stuck with that, because if you play the original game, it'll inherit the flaws and issues that Reforged is currently experiencing. Even if you didn't buy Reforged and you boot up the original game, it is now merged with Reforged, so you will just have to deal with that. And a lot of people are incredibly pissed off. People are highlighting the fact that cutscenes that were promised to look like this on the left actually ended up looking like this on the right, with much lower fidelity than advertised. You can see right here.
Even if you were.
Then I must consider this an act of treason.
Everything looks far more dynamic on the left. There is new voice work on the left, whereas on the right, it all looks just, stock cutscenes from the old Warcraft games, essentially. And if there are enhancements here, there's not much there, and it certainly isn't what was marketed at BlizzCon, so it's false advertisement regardless. And then beyond that, we have a host of missing features listed out here by this YouTube comment that I got in my last video. Here is another list from a Reddit user, and then here is another list from a Warcraft forum user. You can go ahead and pause throughout this video if you want to actually read through the list, but I've covered all of this in my previous video, so I'm gonna leave it at that. The fact of the matter is that Reforged is a disaster, and understandably people want a refund for those who did pre-order or purchase the game, believing that this would be something magical, a resurgence for Warcraft 3. So if you go to Reddit right now, you'll find posts like this of people offering guidance on how to refund your game. This reads, "This game is honestly worse than the original Warcraft 3 in every way. This is how you get your money back." And then here is the process. It's fairly extensive. You have to go to the website and then choose specific options. And even if it tells you that your order isn't eligible for a refund, if you do a certain thing here, you can actually proceed with the refund, and then you have to actually pray for the refund, because it is ultimately up to Blizzard to deliberate whether they want to give that money back. Now, what's going on throughout this whole situation is that people who have been helping others get a refund are allegedly and reportedly being banned by Blizzard from forums. So that was relayed in this Reddit post. The headline reads, "Blizzard reportedly banning users on Warcraft forum for helping people with refunds." And then there are some links here that will take you to this Reddit post that compiles some of the reports that are out there right now. This reads, "So it looks like Blizzard doesn't want people to speak out about refunds on their forums in the first 2 hours of the launch. The game is not on point after all this time in development and the beta. The chat is full of people complaining they can't join custom games, and some can't even start the campaign. Some people are saying they have a black screen after the cinematic or the message defeat appear. Note that some people may have said some inappropriate things to get the ban hammer, but I saw many posts about refunds getting flagged for no reason in the first 2 hours of the launch." And so here are some screenshots. Here's a user who said, "So for helping people, finding refund option makes you get a 2-week ban? Wow, talk about they know they made a bad game and need to silence people. Main account is banned for 2 weeks." And then scrolling down further, you'll find users who corroborate seeing these kinds of bans happen. So this user right here said, "A few minutes after the game was released, I was actually able to see the original post before it got deleted about the refund, so he isn't lying for those who believe he is." If this really is the approach that Blizzard is taking, this is pretty pathetic and scummy. They know for a fact that they released a product that was falsely marketed, that does not live up to many promises made, and that is utterly broken, and that completely ruins the Warcraft 3 experience for a lot of people based on all of the cut content, and they dragged the original Warcraft 3 into it as well. So people asking for a refund is more than reasonable at this stage. And then to make matters worse, there are plenty of users whose refunds are being denied after request. So here is a Reddit user who spoke to that effect, stating the following in this post: Warcraft 3 Reforged refund request denied, breaching Australian consumer law. I've been attempting to play Warcraft 3 Reforged since it came out. I've managed to play a few prologue missions and 2 or 3 full versus matches without crashing. Extremely unhappy, I decided to refund the game, as is my legal right under the Australian consumer laws. The automated process was instantly denied due to too much playtime, so I appealed to the live chat. Right from the get-go, it did not go well. Apparently, all purchases are final, but they can still offer refunds if they want to. And then scrolling down, you'll find a chat log between this user and the customer support representative for Blizzard. So the representative said, I see you were wanting to check out a possible refund for Warcraft 3 Reforged. I can take a look and see. We do view all purchases as final, so refund will not be guaranteed. The player responded, well, unfortunately, that's not how consumer law works here in Australia. The representative said, our terms of sales state that all purchases are final. Accepting those terms of sales does mean you agree with them. And then the player aptly pointed out, again, your terms of sale do not override consumer rights, consumer laws in Australia, which are different from those in America. But the representative insisted that you purchase the game from a US shop, from a US company. The player said in Australia, in Australian dollars. And then the representative said, governed by US laws, I'm afraid that there has been a considerable amount of gameplay, so we will not be able to refund the purchase. And then the user said, you mean the time that I spent trying to start a match or crashing the campaign 18 times? The representative responded, I would recommend posting on the tech support or bug report forums for Warcraft 3 Reforged. The player then said, will that add all the missing features that have been removed? How am I meant to know these features are missing without actually trying to play the game? The representative then said, you can send your feedback to the developers that way. And then the player responded, no, because the issue is your website advertised the product that is inaccurate and misleading. There is a specific example of an improvement to a campaign cutscene that is not even in the final product, still advertised on a selling page for a live product. The representative said, again, that is all feedback best suited for the community forums where the developers can see it. And then after the player expressed how they believe that the false advertisement of the product does warrant a refund on the consumer's end, the representative responded, I've already addressed that. Due to how much time has been spent in the game, we will not be able to refund. And then the final bits of the conversation read, what is the limit in time for a refund per your policy? And can you tell the difference between time the game is open and actual time played of the game? The representative said that's not information we are able to openly discuss, as the terms state that all sales are final. And then the player said, yes, but as retailer that operates in Australia, you're required to follow the law, which states a refund must be available for a product that does meet acceptable standards or has major defects that prevent it from being used for its intended process. And indeed, at launch, Warcraft 3 Reforged does not run as intended, nor does it have many of the advertised features. And then the conversation closed off with the representative saying, since there isn't anything else I can address, I'll let you go. Take care. He just kind of said bye. So one of the shitty things about Blizzard and Battle.net is that they do not guarantee refund. There is no refund policy that highlights exactly what the guidelines are, so players don't know how much they can try out a game and make sure everything's in place before they decide whether it's a product they can keep or not. It's just up to Blizzard's discretion and up to the customer representative to decide whether they feel like affording a refund or not. And that's just incredibly frustrating, especially when dealing with a product like Warcraft 3 Reforged that launched in a less than ideal state. Now, I'm no lawyer, so I cannot say for sure what the legalities behind all of this is. What I will say, though, is that this harkens to a case with Fallout 76, when players complained that they couldn't get refunds because they released their game on the Bethesda launcher only and not on Steam, where you do have a grace period for a refund. A lot of people were unable to get a refund. Some players could, some people got lucky, but for the most part, a lot of players who said, hey, give me my money back, this is a broken game, this is not as advertised, could not get their money back. And so this was something that caused a lot of confusion among people with Fallout 76's inconsistent refund policy, with some people getting refunds, others not so much. Lawyers began to get involved who saw Bethesda's practices as abhorrent. But when it comes to Australian customers, they were fortunate enough to have consumer protection laws on their side, with Australia ruling that Fallout 76 buyers are in fact entitled to refunds if they requested it within a certain time period. So using that as a reference, I get the sense that this customer representative does not fully understand Australian consumer protection laws, and their claim that they are a US company governed by US laws does not apply when it was an Australian customer using Australian dollars in Australia who purchased their product. When Blizzard makes a sale in Australia, they are operating under Australian laws, and as per the Fallout 76 case we saw not that long ago, if a product launches broken or is falsely marketed, then customers have leeway in asking for refunds. So in Australia, hopefully they can make a similar ruling for Warcraft 3 Reforged, because I do believe that at this stage, customers are 100% justified in getting their money back. Here's another post, this one from the Blizzard forums, highlighting how another player had their refund denied. It reads, "After this whole scam and violation to the map maker rights, I requested a refund. I have not played the game in beta. I have not even installed it. I was so eager to play it on release day, but I got busy with work, then found all the lies and details online about it. I requested my refund and it was automatically denied. You're no longer eligible for a refund on any of your product. I can't even go back to Classic or Warcraft 3 The Frozen Throne because they killed Classic and Warcraft 3 The Frozen Throne." So this individual didn't even really boot up the game or have any extensive playtime with it and still got denied. So yeah, those are just a couple examples. If you peruse forums and the like, you'll find plenty of other people who are pretty peeved about the inability to get their money back and return this broken product with unfulfilled promises. Now, one user in the official Blizzard forums decided to invoke the law, stating in the headline, "Blizzard is subject to penalty under 15 US Code 54, false advertisement law." And then in the body of the post, the user proceeds by quoting a website that details this law, which reads, "Generally, false advertising laws say that consumers have proved their case if they show A, that the advertising was false or misleading, which is the case for Warcraft 3 Reforged, B, that the falsity was material, often meaning the company lied about something important, C, the consumer saw the false advertisement, and D, the consumer relied on the false advertising in purchasing the product or service." Now, I'm no legal expert, so I cannot say for sure that the current language of the law will allow for Blizzard to be sued based on their recent behavior with Warcraft 3 Reforged, and even if someone is willing to step up to the plate, they would have to be a pretty resourceful individual, given that Blizzard is a pretty major corporation with surely the top lawyers at their disposal to drag these cases out. So it would be a tough battle regardless, but it's always worth questioning the legalities of a company's actions, especially when they seem rather shady, like with Warcraft 3 Reforged's misleading marketing campaign. But that's a whole other topic. The main subject of this video is refunds. And if this is indeed the kind of low road that Blizzard is deciding to take, then shame on them. It's bad enough that Blizzard botched the remastering of a 17-year-old game this badly. It's bad enough that they took that 17-year-old game and merged it with the broken Reforged ecosystem and infrastructure, but to not be able to admit how badly they messed up and offer proper recompense like refund opportunities, yeah, that's a pretty corporate move right there. And I've talked time and again about how Blizzard is becoming more and more corporate as the years go by. This is a company that seems to be losing touch with reality, that seems to be losing touch with its fans and the community, that seems to be losing its soul, to be frank. This just isn't the Blizzard that we grew up with. This isn't indicative of a company that cares about their products or their fans. Holy shit, look at the user score. It was at 1.4 not that long ago, a few hours ago. It's at 1.1 now. Anyway, I digress. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on the reports out there about Blizzard allegedly banning users who are discussing refunds or guiding people through refunds in the Blizzard forums, and Blizzard seemingly denying people of Refunds. Drop a comment below, and to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.